Yo, what's going on, guys? I just want to do another video going over some SMTs as along with this daily review. So earlier, I alerted two plays. Okay, in the first play, they both have to do with kind of one had to do with an SMT actually, and I'm gonna actually go in tomorrow. So basically, if you don't know already, basically what an SMT is when you get like, let me see if I can find an example. Something like. Let's see here. Something like this, right? On this chart, we have a low right here and a low right here, and you can see we make a higher low here and a lower low here. So as of, sorry, my bad. It'll be right here, lower low here. Okay, make sure you have to make sure the most important thing is make sure these kind of match up, right? Vertical line here should be at the same time. So there's a vertical line here and a vertical line here. So you can see these are at the same time, right? So in this leg, ES makes a higher low, right? And NQ makes a lower low. So this is when you want to look for the SMT. And oftentimes what might happen is, if you see, like in this example right here, if you see, okay, we're bouncing with no displacement after hitting this low, you can kind of turtle soup this low, meaning if ES is inside like a fair value gap, like right here at the same time, right? You can see ES inside a fair value gap. We're inside a fair value gap at the same time, and at the same time NQ is sweeping a low. That's when you know you can soup an entry. So because ES is in a fair value gap, you can turtle soup NQ, which is basically, this is just inducement, right? We hit this low and we reverse again. But it only works if you get a SMT going into a low. So that's kind of that, right? And another SMT would be something like right here, okay, on the 15 one, I believe. So if you look, if you draw a vertical line right here, right, vertical line here, vertical line here, same thing, vertical line here, vertical line here. So same spot the vertical lines are at. If you look, what do you notice? You can see inside a higher time frame fair value gap right here. Okay, bearish SMT, and it was with ES. So you can see ES made the higher high. And there's always going to be a bearish SMT at the highs, and there's always going to be a bullish SMT at the lows. So there can never be a bullish SMT at the highs. This could only be a bearish SMT. And you can see SMTs in higher time frame PDRs are very powerful. Okay. You can see like this kept trying to push up and it wouldn't break this high. So when you see that, it makes me not as bearish. And I kind of wrote that in index commentary yesterday, where it made me more bearish because this high was holding versus we already broke the high, and yes, 3 times, right? If you look closely, you can kind of see we break the high 3 times, right? We break it here, and then we break it here, and then we break it again, all while NQ stays below this high, which tells me, okay, NQ is getting ready to dump here. Yes, he's breaking the high. We're probably going to dump it here. So that's mainly the point of an SMT. It's mainly a reversal spot. And if I go to my little handy dandy chart over here, the SMT divergence chart, this has some SMTs, and you can see after every SMT we get some sort of reversal, right? So if I go like to the hourly, you can see SMT here, we reverse into an hourly fair value gap. This is like the 4-minute chart. We get SMT here, that kind of fails unfortunately, but like right here, SMT at the lows, and look what happens. Just big reversal, and it's not going to work every time. There has to be an ICT setup. So really the thing I look for is an ICT setup. So in this situation, if I know there's an SMT here at the lows, if I know, okay, there's an SMT where YM hit the low here, but ES did not, technically sell side is swept because I know YM swept this line, but ES did not. So that still causes me to look for a setup, which you can see there's a clearly setup right here. It still allows you to look for a setup, a long setup, if you see this. Even though we haven't swept the low in ES, we know because of the SMT we swept the low on YM. And the important thing about an SMT is there's going to be a lot of SMTs forming live time, but it's not actually a setup until you get the 2022 model. So this is the 2022 model. You can see clear break and market structure shift. Or clear break and market structure right here. So you wouldn't really get the SMT till we break this, which is important to note. You don't really get the, like, yes, it's an SMT and there's a lot of SMTs that form live time, but you really have to wait till this. The only SMT you can predict live time is the SMT I explained before. So like if I go to the hourly, right, and then I go to the hourly right here, the only SMT that you can kind of predict is something like this. Oh no, like this. This is this is why I'm actually, I think it's on NQ. Yeah, so it was right here. So this right here we make a low, and then right here you make a higher low. So knowing this, right, it's possible to soup NQ and buy, because you know, right, there's probably a smaller time frame for your rally gap right there. You know that ES should bounce out this rally gap, right? It's a discount, while at the same time NQ is sweeping the low. So that's the only way you can predict an SMT without actually waiting for the long setup on NQ. Versus if this wasn't a fair rally gap on ES, right? If this was not a long setup on ES, you wouldn't know this is gonna bounce until we get the long setup on NQ, right? So that's a big part of it. And like even like this morning, if you go to the 1 minute, and I just do a side by side chart. Let me go over today real quick. So like this morning, didn't really get too many SMTs off open, but in this example right here, let me see if I can find it. I think it was right. Let's see. It was right here. Like you can see, we get a tiny SMT here, which is bearish SMT, right? And we end up breaking it later, but you can see, like, as soon as we get the bearish SMT, we still go down a decent amount. So this is the 1 minute chart. And like in this situation, we have equal lows right here. So because of this bearish SMT, we should go to hit these equal lows before going higher if we do go higher. So that's like how to analyze them in the 1 minute. And like, I think yesterday was a pretty good example. This was yesterday afternoon. Yesterday we actually reversed off an SMT, I believe. It was right. Let me check. It was like low a day, I think, almost low a day. It was down here. Yeah, so right here, right? What happens? We get a higher low on NQ, lower low on ES, okay? And this is just one of those where you can't predict in live time. You have to wait till we kind of have that market structure shift. But knowing when we displace above this with really good displacement, right? You know, okay, we're now displacing above this with energetic displacement. You can see we never hit the low on NQ, but ES did, so this makes it for a perfect long condition, right? Until we get that long condition, this SMT does not really say, okay, we're going to reverse 50 points. You have to see the long condition. That's what people kind of get confused about. So yeah, just a little video on SMTs, and then even like earlier before the dump, there's another SMT. So what happened was, I think it was right here. We had this BISI on NQ, but on ES we did not have any good fair rally up the short. So what happened was we actually took out the high right here in this leg, but NQ just stopped at the BISI. And this is one where, okay, NQ is at the high while at the same time ES is at the BISI, or NQ is at the high while at the same time ES is at the BISI. So I mean NQ at the BISI. So ES is the high at the same time. This is in the inverse fair value gap. So you know that, okay, we're in a place where you want to short an NQ, and we're above a high in ES. So I'd be looking for a short anyways after. And you can kind of see this is another situation where you can predict this live time. But and you can just see lower high right here versus you can see higher high. So this is just an anomaly. If you've ever read VPA by Anna Colling, She talks about volume anomalies. This is just a price action anomaly, which is important to note. So, yeah, just a little updated video about SMTs. Again, there's a lot more examples I could kind of go over. Like right here, right? There's an SMT. You can see we made a lower low in NQ, higher low in ES. What happens? We pump after. And the reason why this was such a good SMT was because if you look below, there's actually fair value gap below right here. So knowing we take out these lows and knowing we're bouncing into higher time frame fair value gap, right? This is one of those fair value. This is one of those ones where you can predict live time because you're like, okay, it's a fair value gap on ES, and we're also taking out a low on NQ. So that means you could either buy ES or you could buy NQ. It doesn't really matter, but that's just another example. So yesterday was a pretty textbook SMT day. So yeah, hope you guys learned something in this. Again, be on the lookout for those SMTs. If you come in and start analyzing in the morning, make sure that check for any SMTs that happened overnight and see if one's still playing out. I mean, that's what I do. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Other than that, peace out. Peace.